All right, kiddos, here are some details I would like you to just look at while I'm gone. And these are the things that you're going to be working on during class time. If you go back to our Google Drive, to our original document, which you can find under Semester 2, Infographics, Graphic Design. This is the original document that you copied. If you go further down this document, past Criterion B, once you've finished Criterion B, many of you have already started this process, we're going to Criterion C. This is where you start to really develop your design. Number 10 says create your final solution, which is your infographic, by creating as many different versions, iterations, variations of that infographic that explores the way of like visually sharing information. So really this is saying, show us all the things that you've made, keep your entire process, don't delete anything, drag it off to the side, make multiple files if you have to. You're basically making as many versions as you possibly can, just like our friend Aaron Draplin. Did I lose that? Maybe. Remember how he was making as many different versions as possible, and he didn't delete any of his stuff, so he could kind of go back a step if he needed to. But it helped him document his process. That's just so important. I can't stress that enough. Ultimately, when you're done, you're going to actually place screenshots of all the different ideas and iterations that you've made, all the different versions, even the ones that you're like, wow, this is terrible. You got to have those. So you're going to place those here. And let's go, just for example, let's go to perhaps you're working in Illustrator. We talked about setting up the grid, but maybe you got to a stopping point here and you're like, you know what, I think I want to see, instead of using squares, what if I just had circles? And so you could just start making a version here, and that way you keep that. What if I did just this typeface? Maybe this typeface isn't working for me, and so you can always click on your type and go to character up at the top. It's a little hard to see. You could always change that. You could also, if you wanted to even download fonts, you could. But let's say I started there. Now I can start to see a path. I started here. This is kind of the midpoint. What's the simplest way I can show something? Remember, you're always thinking about that too. And maybe I realize, you know what, I do need lines to indicate these different parts of the production timeline that you kind of have over here. So they have lines that are going horizontally. Maybe yours uses these diagonal lines to create dynamic visual quality that way. I also want to show you, as we're in here, I want to show you a really great website. It's Adobe Color, or color.adobe.com. You can check it out right here, or you just kind of Google Adobe Color. And what this gives you, it gives you this great color wheel, and you can kind of create different kind of color palettes that you could use. Typically a color palette is 3 to 5 colors. You can change your color rule over here. Maybe you want to be complementary colors, which are ones across each other on the color wheel. The highest contrast possible, so because they're across each other from the color wheel. Maybe these are good things for you to think about in your infographic if you're doing two opposing ideas. But these are different color rules. You can check those out. I'm going to go to Explore, and Explore just shows you previously generated color schemes, and you kind of can go through and look at these for inspiration. I've taken one here, and I've just clicked on it to get the info, and you can just take a quick screenshot and just grab those colors, and I've just brought that in to my Illustrator to use. And what I can do from there is I can just use the eyedropper tool, which is over here, and I can click on any color I want, and it'll come up with that exact color. Really nice. So I'm going to start with that color. I'm going to kind of bring it down, maybe make it a little bit different, make a different background, and maybe use these circles because there's kind of maybe there's 5 colors here and kind of happening, and I kind of like this gradient idea. Kind of shows transition. So we'll start here, and I'll just use these colors and see what happens here. You make your own color scheme too. You can always go back and change these with the in the color window. So it looks like we got not quite 5, but maybe we'll do something close to this and just make this a little bit darker. And there we go. Now, now something's starting to happen, right? Remember you got to say that. Something's starting to happen. We have this gradient going on. Maybe I would change the background, or maybe the color of the stroke of the line here. Maybe I would put these back to make sure maybe they come behind the circle. I don't know if I like these being in black. Maybe it's the same color as this. I just change it to stroke. So it's the stroke color. And then I can go up and change the point, like the weight of the line, and make it a little bit thicker over here if I wanted to. One cool tip you could also learn is over here on your stroke, you could click on this. That also gives you an option to change the weight. But you could also change little elements like the cap, which changes, or maybe you're drawing things that have corners of them, and maybe you want them to have curved corners. So I might change the cap, and you're gonna have to zoom up to see this, but here's my cap right here, and then I'm gonna change that. It makes it, I kind of like that. Something's starting to happen. And I can maybe make those all the same color. And again, because I'm saving my work as I go, this might be a good stopping point for me. Maybe I bring these behind the circle and just say, I don't have any information yet, but I know that I got, these 6 points of production that I want to show. And this is just a good way to maybe begin that, the organization of the information. But I know I started here, I went here, and now I'm here. And I would probably take this and just copy it and paste it and continue. So that's what you're working on. I could then take screenshots of all of these, and I would put those in my criterion C. I'd put that in here. But basically, you're using your time wisely. You're working independently. At any point in time, if you want to look at some of our resources on Behance or some other websites to gain some more inspiration, other ideas, you can do that, of course. But this is the fun part, man. This is when you're creating your infographic. You're doing a lot of hard work. And then when I come back from Portugal, we'll get some feedback. You'll have a chance to share more of your work, and share some stuff with the class even if you want to do it that way. But I should come back and I should be able to open up your Illustrator file or whatever you're working on and see your entire path, how you've made decisions, and be able to compare, give you some feedback. Really excited to see what you come up with. I miss you while I'm gone. We'll be back. We'll keep on going.